Right. Thank you very much. You know, you can study psychology for years, but finally you come to the conclusion that no matter what a person does, no matter what you, your friends, your family, no matter what anyone does, there's always a reason behind it. There's no such thing as human behavior without a reason. For example, Mrs. Goldfarb was on her deathbed. As she was dying, she sent for her husband. Said, "Sam, before I die, I want to confess to you. I haven't been true to you." He said, "You're telling me? Why do you think I poisoned you?" I have a question to ask you now. I'd appreciate if you would all reply simply by a show of hands. Now, that's easy, isn't it? Here's the question. How many of you believe that you are normal? Good. You are the ones who need the treatment. I simply wanted to make sure that I had the right audience. You notice how fast the hands went up with that question? There was no deliberation. No. Very fast. Before the evening is much older, you'll find that this is one of the most difficult questions that anyone could ever put to you. What is normal? Actually, no two of you in this theater tonight are equally normal. Are you? You see, take physical health, for example. Is there anybody here who thinks he's 100% physically healthy? If you have flat feet, imperfect teeth, if you bulge where you should droop, droop where you should bulge, is that 100%? Well, just as there are degrees of physical health, there are degrees of mental health. Now, ladies and gentlemen, before you leave the theater tonight, you will learn what your personal IQ of normalcy really is. You will learn who's really crazy, you or your husband. She knows already, for sure. But what is most important of all, you will discover the psychologist's secret of how to capture the one thing that every human being pursues relentlessly from the moment he's born. The little bluebird of happiness. What is the bluebird's true name? How do you capture him? How do you hold him? There will be a moment tonight when you will hear the bluebird's real name. I promise you, it can be a magic moment. Now, if you ever want to start a conversation with a stranger that will last for hours, don't talk about the weather. Don't say, "Today was a pretty cool day. Yesterday was raining. Day before that was warm. Day before that was chilly." There's a whole week shot to hell and you've learned nothing. If you really want to learn something about the person and have an interesting conversation to boot, ask them this question. Say, "What would you say is the bluebird's real name?" Then watch the answers. There will be those who will tell you at once the name of the bluebird, money. Money, 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 money. One man in New York said to his friend, "What are you working so hard for? There are some things in this world that are more important than the dollar bill." He said, "Really? What? Is it a $10 bill, a $20 bill?" Then there are those who will tell you the name of the bluebird, love. When I fall in love, that's when I'll be happy. What a ridiculous phrase that is. Fall in love. Means you're walking along a hole, I fell in. What can I do? I fell in. There's no such thing as falling in love. Love is a creation. Anyone who wants it may have it, if you know how to create it. Don't teach your children they've got to go to certain places to find it, like Surfer's Paradise. And they start running from beach to beach looking for it. You've done a little running yourself, haven't you? There's also no such thing as love at first sight. Can you plant a seed and have it sprout up before your eyes in 3 minutes? There's only one place you can have love at first sight, and that's on television. They only have 20 minutes. Don't be deceived by love songs. Remember that? Remember that song from One Enchanted Evening from South Pacific. Remember that? Sung by Eat the Pizza? Remember the words? One day you'll come into a room, there she'll be. Once you have found her, never let her go, never let her go. Another song came out the same year. It said, "Don't cry, Joe, let her go, let her go, let her go." Don't get your ideas of love from television, movies, or songs. First of all, love songs are the most deceptive things in the world. You notice a love song always chooses one single part of the anatomy to settle on. Always one part. What part? The heart. What are love songs called? Jealous heart. Take my heart. You're breaking my heart. I'd like to see a song called Jealous Nose. Take my liver. You're breaking my kidneys. As far as I go, too. There are those who will tell you, the name of the bluebird, marriage. When I get married, that's when I'll be happy. I have news for you. I see it's no news to you at all. Did you hear about the girl who got married at a very early age? Well, if you're single and unhappy, all you need to be happy is to get married. Everybody knows that. Why would you have this situation? One man said to his friend, tell me, how much life insurance do you carry? I don't carry any life insurance at all. Don't carry any life insurance? With what would your wife bury you? He says, with pleasure. It's very tempting at this point to tell you one story after another about marriage, which I always resist. But I must tell you just one about my brother. My brother, ladies and gentlemen, is 5 years older than I am. Just got married. Now, before you wonder what took him so long, I'll tell you, it's my mother's fault. Every time my brother brought a girl home, my mother always found something wrong with her. This one's too fat, this one's too tall, this one's too stupid. One day he said to me, you're a psychologist. With your own eyes, you see what's happening. Do you think I'll ever bring home a girl Mama will like? I said, psychologically possible. He said, how? I said, well, it's only a theory. He says, tell me the theory. I said, bring home a girl some night that looks like Mama. By God, if he didn't. He came home one night with a girl. She not only looked like my mother, she talked like my mother. She thought like my mother. And guess what? My father didn't like her. You see how frustrating it all is? Now let me ask you another little question. You've all spent a good chunk of your lives going to school, studying, learning, educating yourselves. I know if you have children, you want to give them the best education you can possibly afford. Here's the question. Of all the things a human being studies, learns, puts his years, his money into, what would you say is the most important thing that he can ever learn? Just think the answer. Because while you think it, I have a little food for thought for you. Listen. In 1923, a very important meeting was held at the Edgewater Beach Hotel in Chicago. Attending this meeting were 9 of the world's most successful financiers. Among those present were the president of the largest independent steel company in the world, the president of the largest utility company, the president of the largest gas company, the greatest wheat speculator, the president of the New York Stock Exchange, a member of the U.S. President's cabinet, the greatest speculator in Wall Street, the head of the world's greatest monopoly, and the president of the Bank of International Settlements. Now, certainly, ladies and gentlemen, we must admit that gathered here are a group of the world's most successful men, at least men who have learned the secret of making money. Let us see what has become of these 9 men. The president of the largest independent steel company in the world, Charles Schwab, died a bankrupt and lived on borrowed money for 5 years before his death. The president of the largest utility company, Samuel Insull, died a fugitive from justice, penniless, in a foreign land. The president of the largest gas company, Howard Hobson, died in a mental hospital, totally insane. The greatest wheat speculator, Arthur Cotton, died in a foreign land, insolvent. The president of the New York Stock Exchange, Richard Whitney, was recently released from Sing Sing prison. The member of the U.S. President's cabinet, Albert Fall, was pardoned from prison so that he could die at home. The greatest speculator in Wall Street, Jesse Livermore, died a suicide. The head of the world's greatest monopoly, Ivar Kruger, died a suicide. The president of the Bank of International Settlement, Leon Fraser, died a suicide. All of these men learned very well the art of making money, but not one of them learned the most important thing that any of us can possibly learn: how to live. What do I mean by learning how to live? You've all been to the seashore. Here are two little boys in the ocean. Along comes a wave and knocks both of them over. One little boy runs to the beach, sets up a loud scream for his mother. The second little boy scrambles to his feet, rushes to the beach, takes a deep breath, and laughs. The first little boy sees the ocean only as a malicious enemy, has learned nothing from his experience except to be a bigger crybaby. The second little boy has enjoyed the encounter, enjoyed the challenge. He's ready for the next. When a wave of life knocks you over, if you can pick yourself up, scramble to the beach, take a deep breath, and laugh, then, ladies and gentlemen, you have indeed learned how to live. You notice I said learn. Nobody's born knowing how. A baby's born with nothing, not even his diapers. No wonder one woman said to her son, "At least learn a trade so you'll know what kind of work you're out of." When you hear a child say, "I hate school," that's because he sees no relationship between what he's learning and what he's doing. No wonder one school teacher walked into her classroom one morning. Imagine her embarrassment. Right there, under the blackboard, she saw a little puddle. And on the board was written, "Guess who?" She said, "I'm ashamed of the child who did that. But we'll all put our heads down. No one will look. The child who did that will come and clean up. I won't say another word. If not, we shall all stay in every single day for a month. All right, children, heads down. Heads down, everybody." And all the kids put their heads down, including the teacher. After a few moments, you heard the pitter-patter of little feet come forward, go swishing around, pitter-patter back to the seat. Teacher raised her head. "All right, children, heads up." She looked up, and there were two puddles. On the blackboard was written, "The Phantom strikes again." When I said, what is the greatest thing that anybody can ever learn, I know a number of you were thinking, peace of mind. If that's what you were thinking, you couldn't be more wrong. What's peace of mind? I asked one lady, I don't know what it is, but when that schmendrick husband leaves me, I'll have it. One woman said to a friend, "Where'd you get the black eye?" She said, "My husband gave it to me." She said, "Really? I thought he was out of town." She said, "So did I." What does peace of mind mean to most people? It means a life without problems, a life without troubles. But you see, peace of mind has nothing to do with your problems. I'll show you people loaded with problems who have more peace of mind than those who have very few. I say very few because the only ones I know who have none are in cemeteries. Peace of mind has nothing to do with your problems. It refers to the way you handle the problems. A newlywed couple checked into a hotel on their honeymoon. The bride turned to her husband and says, "Darling, please promise me you won't tell anyone we're newlyweds. I'm very self-conscious, and you know how they'll stare." "I promise." They retired to their bedroom for the evening. The next morning when she came out, all the guests stood and looked her over from head to toe. He says, "You told them we were newlyweds, didn't you?" He says, "No, I did not. I told them we were very good friends." People often say to me, "What are you anyway? Are you a doctor? Are you a comedian? Are you a professor? What are you?" Take your choice. I want to tell you what happens when I put on my cap as a professor. Whenever I walk into my classroom for the first time, I always begin the same way. I say, "Boys and girls, give me your strictest attention. I'm about to perform a little experiment for you." Ladies and gentlemen, the experiment takes exactly 20 seconds to perform, not a moment more. But I want you to know that if these boys and girls, ready and willing to put in 4 precious years into this little enterprise, were never to learn one more thing other than the lesson of this little 20-second experiment, I would scream it from housetops. You've made a magnificent investment. Now, I'm going to perform the experiment for you tonight. Before I do, please permit me to illuminate it for you just a wee bit by telling you a true experience. Many of you know that some of my talks have been put out on long-playing records. The records have had a very interesting sale all over the world, particularly in South Africa, where I'm very popular with the Mau-Maus. The recordings have made my name a household word in South Africa. I won't tell you which room in the house, but it's a household word. As a result of the popularity of the recordings, I was invited to South Africa on a personal appearance tour. I stood on stage in Pretoria, South Africa. I had just finished the first part of my program and went back into the dressing room, waiting for interval to be over to return and continue, just as we will tonight. I was reading in the dressing room the South African edition of Time magazine. That particular issue reported how Margaret Sullivan, the celebrated motion picture, stage, and television star, had that very week ended her life with an overdose of sleeping tablets. It said because she was losing her hearing. While reading it, I opened the door, and there stood a 19-year-old, totally blind boy. He said, "Dr. Murraybank, my name is Herbert Levine. I've played your records for years, and I've been waiting to meet you in person. May I come in? May I confess to you that of all the tragedies human beings are heir to, it has always been my personal feeling that blindness is the worst. To live in total darkness forever, never to see the faces of those you love. Can you picture anything worse?" I brought him in, sat him down. Oh, he had a long list of jokes and stories that he'd been saving for me. I said, "Herbert, what does the color red look like to you?" He gave me an answer, but how could he know? Any more than you can tell me, what does the color oogle wiggle look like? If you've never seen it, how do you know? I said, "Herbert, what do I look like?" He said, "Oh, you're very handsome." For a few moments, I thought he could see. I'll never be better looking than I was at that moment. And then, just by chance, sheer chance, I said, "Herbert, I wonder if you've ever heard of Helen Keller." He said, "Heard of her?" I met her. Helen Keller was in South Africa last year. I shook hands with her. I said, "Well, then you know, don't you, that Helen Keller was born deaf as well as blind?" He said, "Yes, I do." And then he said this, "You know, I've always thanked God I wasn't born deaf." Margaret Sullivan, wealthy, famous, young, beautiful, ends her life because she's losing her hearing. And this lad, who has never even seen a ray of sunshine, tells me I have always thanked God. Are you ready now for the little experiment? Take some wax, some meat, some sand, some wood shavings. Throw them all into the fire. Watch what happens. One instantly melts, one dries up, one hardens, one blazes. Think of it. All of them are acted upon by the same fire. Just so, ladies and gentlemen, under identical circumstances of life, one becomes weaker, one becomes stronger, and another withers away. It is not what is done to us. It is what we do that determines our destiny and our happiness. This time, Mr. Goldberg was on his deathbed, and his wife stood there and yelled, "Sam, don't leave me! Sam, don't leave me!" He said, "Shh, don't yell, come along." Normalcy has two sides to the coin. One, normalcy is your ability to squeeze as much joy and happiness out of every hour of every day of your life. The other side of the coin, important side, normalcy is your ability to look into the face of reality without running away. Oh, this is tough to do. Very few of you do it, as you will soon see. I'll show you what I mean by facing reality. A married couple received a bundle from heaven one day, a mother-in-law. She came for a little visit. After 6 months, the husband said to his wife, "Don't you think it's time to tell your mother to go home?" She says, "Look here, if you want my mother to go home, tell her yourself. What reason are you going to give her?" He says, all right. Let's use a little psychology. Tonight, when the soup is served, I'll say it's hot. Now you say it's cold. Then we'll ask her what she thinks. The moment she takes one side, that's enough reason. Out she goes. That night the soup was served. He started to complain. "This soup is too hot." He says, "No, it's too cold." "Well, I said it's hot." "I said it's cold." They argued, hot, cold, hot, cold. Finally, he turns to the mother and says, "Tell me, what do you think? Is it hot or is it cold?" She says, "I don't know from nothing. I'm staying for another 3 months yet." You see, there's a normal woman. The question I should have asked you is not, are you normal? The question I should ask you is, how normal are you? Everybody's a little bit mental, a little bit. Take a quick look at the person next to you. You convinced? A professor walked into the classroom the first day of the semester. He said, "If there are any complete imbeciles in the class, let them stand up now." One fellow stood up. He said, "Are you an imbecile?" He said, "No, Professor, but I didn't want to see you standing there alone." A little bit in everybody. In the extreme, a mental patient, when he has to face a reality that's too much for him, just turns around and says, "Stop it, the world. I want to get off." One of the most dramatic, most exciting things you'll ever see in human life. The stage, movies, television have never been able to capture it. It is how a human being learns, how you've all learned, and teaching your children right now, how to drain from their minds, from their emotions, their guilt, the shame, their fears, and turn it into aches and pains of the body. Oh, we all learn that. We learn it very well indeed. Never be honest. Take all your guilt, all your shame, all your fears, and disguise it. Cover it up. Let it come out as an ache or a pain. I'll show you. One of the first patients that I ever saw was a lady who was brought in with what is known as a compulsion neurosis. You know what her compulsion was? Hand washing. She used to stand and wash her hands all day long. You know how many times she'd wash her hands a day? 100 times a day. Now, not 97 and not 98. It had to be 100. Now, where's the dirt? Not here. To understand this, you must know her. You must know that you have a very moral, very religious woman who has suddenly become sexually enamored with her milkman. Crazy to begin with. What does she want? She wants him to carry her away and wildly seduce her. Will she admit this? Oh, I don't mean to you or to me. Will she admit this to herself? Certainly not. This is an ugly, sinful, lustful thought. And she refuses to allow it out honestly. Now, if you won't allow it out honestly, then it will come out dishonestly. In her case, hand washing. And every time she does this, I'm sure you know what she really wants. Even though it is 100 times a day. Now, you mustn't think that you don't show the same things. I told you, everybody has a little bit. I'll show you how you have the same compulsions. Did you ever lock your door, go down the steps, and say to yourself, I wonder if I really locked it? And you have a compulsion that you must go back and test it, at least 3 times. Did you ever sit in the dress circle of a theater, look down and think to yourself, maybe I should spit down? You know why they're laughing? That's what they're thinking. which is normal. But if you do it, see me later. I'll give you another illustration. Take amnesia. Now, you all know what amnesia is. I hope you know the difference between amnesia and magnesia. In amnesia, you don't know where you're going. In magnesia, you better know where you're going. Now, on television, whenever they want to create a case of amnesia, it's always done in identically the same way. They hit someone on the head with a club, and all his marbles fall out. But you know what's even more exciting? The way they cure him. They hit him on the head with another club, and all the marbles roll right back into place again. Got a loose part someplace. That's television. It isn't life. In life, every case of amnesia is a terrified, frightened little soul who can't bear to look at reality, who can't stand to face his problems. So he runs and runs and runs. Do you know any better way of running away from yourself than not knowing... Excuse me. You know any better way of escaping your problems than by not knowing who you are? If I'm not me, whose problems are they? Must be yours. You see, a person can become sick in more than just one way. There's more than just virus and infections. As a matter of fact, the greatest causes of diseases are guilt, shame, fear, terror, overambition. Yes, overambition can make you sick. One man said to me, I wanted to be a sex maniac, but I couldn't pass the physical. That's pretty ambitious. We are living in a very interesting and exciting time. Would you believe me if I tell you that this era will go down in history as the atomic era? What a crying shame. If this era goes down for anything, it should go down as the era of wonder drugs. Just think of it. In your own lifetime, in the past 25 years, there has been more progress in medicine than in the previous 2,000. You've heard of these tremendous wonder drugs? Auramycin, terramycin, katzenmycin. I wonder if you've heard of the greatest of all breakthroughs in wonder drugs. Brand new. A tiny little box that has 6 wonder tablets. Guaranteed to prevent insanity, prevent nervous breakdown, cure migraine headache, nervous stomach, high blood pressure, and raise your ability to enjoy life. What do you think of that? I wonder what you'd pay for that little box of 6 wonder tablets. Ladies and gentlemen, I have a sensational announcement to make. I have with me tonight those 6 wonder tablets. Right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I want you to know that tomorrow morning by 11 a.m., I could be the richest and the most famous man in the world if I were to have these mass-produced and sold, because the lineup of people torn with fear, regret, anxiety, neurosis would just girdle the globe. There's only one thing that prevents me from doing it. I am still missing one tiny ingredient. The automatic ingredient. You see, Dr. Jonas Salk has invented a vaccine which, when injected into the bloodstream, operates automatically to prevent polio. My 6 tablets operate now, tonight, this minute, but not automatically. That's the catch. That's what prevents me from becoming a billionaire. Believe me, I'm working on it. Since I don't yet have the secret, I can't mass produce and sell them to you. I have no choice but to give them to you absolutely free. Now, because they are free, beware underestimating their value. Each one of these 6 can work a wonder in your life beginning tonight. Take all 6, a miracle. Just please remember the catch. None of these work unless you do. Wonder tablet 1. Stop lying to yourself. Lie to your wife, your husband, your mother. Lie all you want. But beware pulling wool over your own eyes. The more you pull that wool over your eyes, that's how much longer it must be before you can ever see what is wrong and change it. Some of you are such good liars that even the wool you pull over your eyes is 50% cotton. You can lie to yourself better than you can to anyone else. Who else would believe it? You say, I don't know what he's talking about. How do I lie to myself? Well, I'll show you how you lie to yourself. And while I show you how you lie to yourself, you will lie to yourself. So for some of you, the next 3 minutes is going to be a total blackout. Now watch, you're suddenly going to go deaf. What would you say is the most exciting news story to come out in 100 years as it pertains to your life and your health? The fact, ladies and gentlemen, that the greatest brains in the world, in every corner of the earth, have established without shadow of doubt that there is a direct relationship between how many years, how many hours, how many minutes you will live, your health while living, and smoking. As soon as you read that, you say, okay, that's all, I'm finished. That's the end. You did not. You pulled the wool a little tighter and you puffed a little harder. One man said to me, I've read so many horrible things about smoking, I've decided to give up reading. Some of you may be under the mistaken notion that I'm trying to get you to give up smoking. Oh, no. I'm not a missionary. I'm no reformer. All I can do is show you a road map and say, this road leads to health, and this road leads to death. Can I take the trip for you? Only you can take the trip. For those of you who are smokers, I have encouraging news. There's a new cigarette coming out soon in Australia. It has no tobacco at all. All filter. You puff on it till you get a hernia. Wonder Tablet 2. Give your old age a good swift kick in the pants. Oh, how people fear old age. Oh, what am I going to do in my old age? My old age, my old age. Why are we so frightened of old age? We fear losing youth and beauty. A woman says to her husband, would you love me when I'm old and gray? He says, why not? I love you through all the other colors. One woman said to her husband, she says, you know, Sam, I don't want to grow old. He's all right, die young. What would you say are the two most depression-proof industries in the world? 1, tobacco. Tobacco, they're the top industry. They are depression-proof. Well, why not? With a world full of liars. Why not? I spent 3 minutes here talking to you on smoking. In my university classes, I spent 6 weeks. I insist that every one of them watch an actual lung cancer operation. We pull out a cancerous lung, wave it under their noses. They say, oh, how horrible, I can't stand it. Light me a cigarette, quick. Of course it's number 1. 2, the cosmetics industry. Depression-proof. One based on addiction, the other one based on fear of losing youth and beauty. Look at the thousands of skin creams on the market. A cream for dry skin, for wet skin, for leaking skin, for stinking skin, for creeping skin. One man complained that his wife creamed herself so much before going to bed, it was like sleeping next to a swamp. He says, not only that, but after she gets all creamed up, she keeps slipping out of bed all night long. Says, 5 minutes after we're in bed, I feel a false curl on my side of the bed. Then I feel a false eyelash on my side of the bed. Then I feel another falsie on my side of the bed. He says, sure, the good stuff she keeps on her side of the bed. I read all the beauty ads that I can find because I think they are hilarious. They're really funny. Remember that classic ad some years ago? She's engaged, she's lovely, she uses Airwick. Now, I was going to tell you about this, but then you'd say, oh, he makes it up. He makes it up. So, to show you that I don't make up anything, I brought the evidence. Here. I tore this right out of the New York Times. Where you hear this headline. Helena Rubinstein solves all your winter problems. All your winter problems. Now you get someone for the summer and you've got it made. Let's see, how does Helena Rubinstein solve all your winter problems? Now this is fascinating, really fascinating. It says, you have dry skin? Use her pasteurized face cream special. Pasteurized. That's more than you do with your milk. You have coarse paws? Coarse paws. You use water lily skin lotion made out of marinated water lilies. Now comes the jewel of the collection. Do you have aging skin? Then you use estrogenic hormone cream. Do you know what estrogenic hormones are? They're chemicals secreted in every woman's body through her ovaries, and they affect her ability to become pregnant. And now they're telling you to smear it on. Rub it in, rub it in, rub it in. If you rub it in long enough, you'll give birth through the nose. Gentlemen, you didn't realize when you bought a ticket for your wife tonight what a bargain you'd be getting. Ladies, no man has yet been born who knows how to bottle beauty in a jar. You can't cream it in. One woman was vigorously creaming her skin before going to bed. Her little 5-year-old daughter said, "What's that for, Mommy?" "Oh, it's to make me beautiful, darling." She said, "Oh." Then she started to wipe it off. The little girl looked at her and said, "Oh, it didn't work, did it?" Oh, this constant scratching for youth and beauty. My favorite man, 92 years of age, walked into his doctor's office one day. He said, "Doctor, I want you to lower my sex drive." Doctor says, "You want it lowered?" He says, "You're 92 years old. It's all in your head." He says, I know. That's why I want it lowered." Wonder Tablet 3. Commit a little murder. Murder your worries before they murder you. One day in Colorado, a great stalwart tree fell down. What a day. This should have been on the front pages of every newspaper of the world, exclusively, because this great tree was a little sapling when Columbus landed on San Salvador. It had been struck by lightning 14 times. It had braved storms, hurricanes, earthquakes. But in the end, what do you think killed it? Tiny little beetles dug under the bark, ate away at the mighty heart. And one day, down came the lordly king of the forest. Life, for all of us, is never made up of a series of lightning strikes. It's made up of a series of little things. Most of us manage to stand up under the lightning, but we allow ourselves to be eaten away by the little beetles of worry and anxiety until we too are destroyed. You must learn how to kill your worries before they kill you. Every problem has a solution. If you're fat, you go on a diet. You don't stand in front of the bakery shop studying the cakes. Did you ever watch a woman on a diet? When she eats a piece of cake, she usually swallows it very fast. The stomach shouldn't know. Wonder Tablet 4. This one, by itself, alone, exclusively, can close up nearly every mental hospital in the world by next Sunday night. Live your life one single day at a time. If you ever have an opportunity to visit a mental hospital, grab it. It's a marvelous education. But remember, won't you, that everybody inside was once outside. The reason they're inside is because they insist on piling on their poor, weak little backs all the accumulated yesterdays and all the frightening tomorrows. They keep piling it on their little backs until one day the poor, weak little back cracks. Now, this is the only day you can possibly live. Why do you turn it into a hell over what you did, what's going to happen? Or they worry about the future. Maybe I'll fail. Maybe I won't make it. I wish you could see my students when I announce an exam for next month. They all fail on the spot. I always like to tell them the story of the medical student. The night before a big exam, he went out on a big drinking spree. When he came to take the exam, a little bleary, one of the questions was, give several reasons why mother's milk is superior to bottled milk. He wrote, 1, it's fresher. 2, it's easier to take to the beach. 3, the cat can't get at it. And 4, it comes in cute little containers. Wonder Tablet 5. There is a law in psychology that says if you will form a picture in your mind of what you would like to be like, if you will keep the picture there long enough, you will eventually become exactly as you picture. What did I just say? I said that if you fill your mind with sad thoughts, you think sad, you look sad, you feel sad, you are sad. You fill your mind with happy thoughts, you think happy, you sound happy, you look happy, you are happy. You can't be happier than you think you are. You can't be more confident than you think you are. You can't be younger than you think you are. One little Jewish lady came to see a doctor. She expected a man with an old man with a beard. Out comes a young, handsome, strapping doctor. He says, Mrs., go in the other room, please, and remove all your clothes. She said, naked? He says, yes, naked. She says, doctor, you first. You see, she thought young, she was young. Now, you will never be healthier than you think you are or more beautiful than you think you are. One woman had overslept. She heard the garbage truck going by outside. She jumped out of bed with her curlers, her mud pack. She grabbed the garbage can. Yo-ho, garbage man, am I too late for the garbage? He said, no, jump right in. Now, ladies and gentlemen, please lend me your ears. I'm about to give you the bluebird's name. The bluebird's name is the foundation of all psychiatry. It is the cornerstone of all happiness. It is one of the briefest and most important words in the English language. The name of the bluebird is spelled Y-O-U. You are the bluebird. The bluebird is in here. It is in here. It's in the way you look at life. People say to you, are you worried, troubled? Go to Sorrento for a month, forget it. What they don't tell you is all your troubles get right on the train with you, ride straight to Sorrento, no extra fare at all. Now, trouble isn't in Melbourne and Brisbane and Sydney. Trouble is in you. It goes where you go. It's in the way you look at life, the way you've been taught to look at life, the way you've learned to look at life. You see, we learn it. An Australian has a different outlook than an American or a Frenchman. A lady, for example, in New York City, was taking a bath on her ground floor apartment. She tried to open the window, but it was stuck. Suddenly it flew up. and the force of it, she fell headfirst out the window, right into an ash can, with her legs dangling out. At that moment, a Frenchman happened to walk by. When he saw her, he said, "Oh, these extravagant Americans, she's good for 10 more years yet." Of course, it's the way you look at life. Whatever the problem is, the bluebird is you. Could you be like one Jewish lady who walked into a department store in Brooklyn, New York? She walked up to the floor walker and said, "Mister, where can I find, please, Johnson's baby powder?" By coincidence, he was extremely bow-legged. He said, "Madam, walk this way to count to 3. You'll find it." He said, "Mister, if I could walk that way, I wouldn't need Johnson's baby powder." Didn't you get the picture at all over here? Wonder tablet 6. I've saved for last. Because without it, no amount of millions will ever make you rich. The government can't tax you on it. A thief cannot come to your home and steal it. There's no place in the world you can go to buy it. It is life's most precious and cheapest luxury. I know of nothing that will help you to rub shoulders with happiness more consistently than your ability to laugh. Tell me, how healthy is your sense of humor? You've seen blood pressure machines that doctors apply to test a patient's health. One day, a great genius will be born who will invent a laugh pressure machine. Oh, that will show much faster the state of your physical and mental health. Could you be like one man who received a bill from his doctor? The doctor had written at the bottom of the bill, "This bill is 1 year old today." He sent it back with a note, "Happy birthday." Have you ever observed how a little trifle, a little thing, can sometimes change your entire destiny? You know, sometimes we think, if I hadn't gone out on this night, at this hour, I wouldn't have met him, I wouldn't have met her. How different my life would have been. Now, Melbourne, Australia, to New York City, USA, is a long way. But I know that I would not be on this stage tonight if it weren't for a tiny little sentence this big whispered into this ear not too many years ago. I'm a graduate of 4 universities. I hold 4 degrees. Now, I don't tell you this to brag, but simply to show you how many books and professors I've been through. Of them all, where do you think I learned the most wonderful lesson of my entire life? Not from a learned professor in an ivy-clad university, but from a little 15-year-old crippled girl. I tell it to you as it happened. When I graduated university for the first time, I took a position teaching in a New York City secondary school. I worked for my doctor's degree at the time. And the principal, the headmaster, put me in charge of the crippled boys and girls. In New York City, we have a system whereby if a boy or girl is severely crippled, a bus will pick him up at his home every morning, bring him to school, and then at 3 o'clock, the bus comes and takes him home again. This was my class. I wish that every one of you could have stood in front of my class any morning and watched my boys and girls coming in. Not really coming in. Pulling, tugging, pushing their sticks, their straps, their irons, twisting their deformed little bodies into the chairs. It was a sight. One day, because of a blizzard, the bus did not come at 3 o'clock. I put as many of the children as I could into my car, and I started to take them home. When we came to one girl's house, I opened the door for her, but because of her heavy brace, she fell headlong into the snow. At this, all the children in the car laughed out loud. I said, "What are you all laughing at?" This little 15-year-old sitting next to me with a brace up to here turned to me and whispered, You see, teacher, if we don't laugh, she'll cry. This is the lesson I never forgot. It has carried me around the world 4 times. It has put me on this stage tonight. If we do not learn to laugh at ourselves, then we must surely cry. Now give your laugh muscles a little exercise. It will improve your skin. It will make you beautiful. It will make you more beautiful than Helena Schmaltz ever dreamed of making you. By the way, laughter does not make you fat. Except that it gives you a better digestion, you'll eat more and grow fat. Laughter is the cement of marriage. If you married someone without a sense of humor, you're going to go straight to heaven, because you're going to have your hell right here on earth. Whatever it takes to make a good marriage, whatever bricks make up a good marriage, remember, the cement is laughter. One mother was advising her daughter on the eve of her wedding. She says, darling, you're getting married next week. Listen to your old mother. Never, never undress completely in front of your husband. Always keep some of your womanhood in mystery. A week after the wedding, the husband said to his wife, tell me, does insanity run in your family? She said, no, why? That's the 3rd night you've been sleeping with your hat on. You got the picture this time, didn't you? You got the picture. If you deal with human beings long enough, you'll find at every age, at every stage, in every shape and size, we're always asking or praying for something. Maybe that's why prayer books are so thick. Traveling through Chester, England once, going to the cathedral in Chester, my eye was caught by a little prayer inscribed on the wall of the cathedral. I stopped to read it. I read it, and read it, and read it. And to this minute, I have not figured out how were they able to condense such thick prayer books into such a tiny prayer. I took out a pencil and paper, and I scribbled it down so that I might share it with you tonight. Here is the prayer. Give me a good digestion, Lord, and also something to digest. Give me a healthy body, Lord, and sense to keep it at its best. Give me a healthy mind, O Lord, to keep the good and pure in sight, which, seeing sin, is not appalled, but finds a way to set it right. Give me a mind that is not bored, that does not whimper, whine, or sigh. Don't let me worry over much about that fussy thing called I. Give me a sense of humor, Lord. Give me the grace to see a joke, to get some happiness from life and pass it on to other folk. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you.